Thank you all for joining us tonight for this 10th grade parent information meeting. My name is Shelton Mooney. I am the principal at Bethesda Chevy Chase High School, and I am very happy to have you all here. Very honestly, I'm happy that we've made it to Thursday evening also of what has been a very long first week of school. So I do want to share with you a little bit about the format for this meeting. This is now the fourth meeting that we have done like this, but it does have some limitations compared to the meetings that we would normally have done in school. So Dr. McGarrett, on the next slide, please. So this is a Zoom webinar that we are running tonight. We run these larger meetings through the webinar system, but it does have the limitation that we cannot have a question and answer or a chat function going for participants because we can't actually see what the people are writing or doing while we're presenting. So that does have a limitation. We do have several panelists tonight who will be presenting information that is important, and we are recording this to be posted online so other parents can view it. So you will be able to go back and listen to what we said at any point during that. We also will end no later than 8 p.m. We have some limits on the amount of time that we can have this going also. So thank you all for working through this with us, and we appreciate you joining us. So with us tonight, we actually have several BCC staff members. So again, my name is Shelton Mooney. We also have Dr. David McGarrett, who is the assistant principal and also the 10th grade administrator. We have Miss Michelle Dean, who is our SGA sponsor and was the class of 2023 class sponsor. She has moved on to be the SGA sponsor, but is staying with this class until we find her successor. And then we have with us Mr. Tony Lewis, who is the IB MYP coordinator for Bethesda Chevy Chase High School. And he's going to talk a little bit about the MYP program, which is the middle years program. Those of you who came to us from Silver Creek or Westland Middle Schools, both were involved in the middle years program there. And this is a continuation of that work. So I want to share a little bit about kind of my view of 10th grade. I view 10th grade as one of the most important years in high school. One of the reasons that 10th grade is really critical for students is actually because 10th grade comes at a point where you've had that transition into high school and you're really starting to build your content skills. You're building and refining those habits, hopefully those successful habits that you developed during your 9th grade year, and that you're building towards really making some decisions in 11th and 12th grade about where you're going to try to go with your future. We know that 15-year-olds don't always know exactly what they want to do, but once we get students into 11th and 12th grade, we really see kind of a wide array of opportunities open up for them. And we ask, as 10th graders, we're asking students to start thinking about that. We ask students to think about, might you want to be in the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program? Might you just want to take a selection of IB Diploma Program classes? Would you like to focus on AP coursework? Would you like to do some combination of that? Would you like to do a career prep program such as the Edison Center or be involved in our project Lead the Way or internships? Would you like to do dual enrollment where you're taking classes at BCC and taking classes at Montgomery College? Or even would you like to consider going to early college through Montgomery College where you're actually enrolled full-time at Montgomery College while you remain a BCC student? So all of those opportunities open up to students when they're in 11th grade. And part of what we're asking these 15-year-olds to do as 10th graders is really think about how they're going to get there and where they might see their path going. So 10th grade is an important year. We will encourage your children to think about those things, to have conversations with their teachers about their options, to have conversations with their counselors, to have conversations with you about kind of where they see themselves going and what their goals are as they work through this year and plan out the last couple of years of their high school program. Dr. McGarrett, next slide, please. So Dr. McGarrett is also with us tonight, and I'm actually going to have him speak in a minute, but I think, Dr. McGarrett, we're going to skip you starting for a second. Is the next slide for what we're going to talk about? We'll come back to you, I promise, Dr. McGarrett. So we're going to talk about several things tonight. Before we do much else, we are going to hear both from the president of the Parent Teacher Student Association and the president of the BCC Educational Foundation. But then we're going to hit on a lot of topics that are related really to just how school is going to work, especially in this fall semester. We're going to talk about really what engagement looks like, how we're tracking that, how we're working with students. I'm going to share a little bit more and hopefully provide some clarity about the daily schedule. We're going to talk about the supports that we have available for students. We're even going to talk about what extracurricular activities and athletics look like in a virtual world. And again, at the end, we're going to come back to really what the middle years program means and what it looks like at BCC, what it's going to look like at BCC, because the 10th grade year is the culminating year in that process. So next slide, Dr. McGarrett. So before we go any further, we're actually going to hear from Ms. Lyric Winnick, who is the president of the BCC High School PTSA. Ms. Winnick?
Thank you so much, Dr. Mooney. Thank you, and thanks to everybody at BCC who has gotten us logged in, up and running all week. And I know that you all are probably running on fumes at this point, but we're very appreciative. I'm Lyric Winnick. I'm the president of the BCC PTSA. I'm also a 10th grade parent, so I'm here to listen and learn something as well tonight. But I just wanted to tell you a few things about the PTSA and a few things specifically for 10th grade parents to focus on this year. So I don't know whether they loaded the slides or not. If not, I'm just, there we are. So welcome. We are, as you know, a very diverse school. And one of the things that the PTSA does try to do is to reach out to every single family and to communicate in our primary languages, which are English, Spanish, and Amharic. So you will see that there. We really welcome all of you, whether you're returning or whether you're new. Next slide, please. So these are some of the things that we do. And I have to say, when I made this slide, I realized I couldn't fit everything on one slide. So I'm giving you the highlights. We have a grant program for every department. We also handle teacher and staff appreciation. We are very proud of BCC Cares, which is our program to help families in need. And I'm sure you'll hear from that about supporting it this year. We will be running our markets in the covered parking twice a month throughout the year. We also fund student clubs and activities. That's taken on a larger role because as some of you remember, there used to be giant bonus bucks and various grocery store dollars. Those programs all vanished last year, in fact, even pre-COVID. And so we are stepping into that role. We also have the College Advisory Committee, which is something that should be on your radar screen. I really encourage you to read through the emails and to look at the different events that come up. Even if you don't attend them, it will be a reminder of where they fall in the season and what you might want to go to as a junior. But honestly, I would start in 10th grade. It's a great educational opportunity. It teaches you a lot. The parents who head the committee are fantastic, and they have put together some incredible programming this year. It's also all on Zoom, so please do attend. We have our peer parents for each grade. You'll be hearing from 10th grade peer parents. Among other things, they'll give you a presentation on driver's ed. And we also have our Health and Wellness Committee and our Diversity Parents Council, and to support everybody in our school. Finally, the most important thing that I can ask you to do is actually free, which is on the next slide. Please, if you are not already on, join our listserv. I know you probably feel like you have been overwhelmed by email this week, but especially in this time of virtual school, it is a very important part of how we communicate. It's easy to join. You can do it by simply going to our website, bccptsa.net, clicking on join the listserv, you'll be added. We've also probably gotten verification information for the A to Z directory. Again, this year where everybody is distant, and even when we come back socially distant, very important to have up-to-date information there. And, our listserv is there to provide communication. We are also there to answer questions and to help direct you to anything that you might need. So please reach out. That's why we're here. That's why we volunteer. That's why we are working so hard to try to build a good community and to partner with BCC. You also see us partnering with the Student Government Association. That's been really fruitful, and I personally enjoyed that a lot. And we are partnering with the Athletic Boosters and the Educational Foundation. This is a year for everybody to pull together and work together, and we're grateful to have such a good team working on behalf of you and your students. And finally, I just, want to say personally, as a 10th grade parent, this is a great and exciting year. And, I've done 10th grade once. I'm hoping to finish it successfully a second time with my second student. And I look forward to seeing many of your faces that hopefully virtually and hopefully at some point in the future in person. So thank you so much. And, we really are there for everybody in the community and the entire school. And please use us as a resource, and please feel welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Winnick. And at this point, we're going to ask Mr. Matt Gandel, who is the president of the BCC Educational Foundation, to share some information with us about that organization.
Thank you, Dr. Mooney, and it's nice to follow my friend Lyric. We indeed do partner with PTSA on pretty much everything we do. I am a parent at the school, have an 11th grade daughter in 11th grade now, and have two sons that graduated in recent years. I'm also an alum of the school. Had very fond memories of great experiences here at BCC, and that is what motivated me to be part of the Educational Foundation, which, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is a 501c3 created about 25 years ago to try to provide extra resources and vision and partnership for the school to help sustain high impact programs and ensure that the community continues to have high levels of confidence in the school to deliver for their children. We raise about $250,000 a year to invest back in BCC and programs that support students and teachers. And I think we've come to build a really strong partnership with leaders at the school over time, and a sustained partnership that ensures that every student has the opportunities that he or she deserves to be successful. And that's our basic bottom line mission. Is we have a rich and diverse school in many ways, and we think every student who walks through the doors in real time or virtually deserves to be supported and have every single opportunity that's afforded to even the most well-to-do families. So we support a variety of programs. These are all developed by teachers and the administration at the school, and parent volunteers as well. Most of these are around academic supports. You'll hear a little bit more about this hopefully later tonight and over time. TAP is a program that we've been funding for a number of years at BCC, which is after school support by teachers at BCC who are paid to work with students who need help either once in a while or every day. And that's available in every subject and most days of the week in a normal year. And I know Dr. Mooney and his team have been working diligently to figure out how to stand that up and make it available this year in a virtual fashion. And we think that's going to be really, really important, that students have access to supports virtually when they need it with teachers that they trust. And we're really looking forward to seeing that program roll out in the weeks ahead. We also sponsor and pay for a number of summer programs, a variety of them for students in different grade levels, in different academic preparation levels. Too many to name, but it's a major investment we make every year to ensure that learning does not slow down, but actually accelerates during the summer. One program to note, just to keep your eyes on going into probably this year and next year, is college essay writing workshops, which are free for students through the support of the foundation every summer. That program is evolving and expanding, but it's a great way to get some extra help for students as they're looking ahead to to doing applications for college. Speaking of college, we have a number of programs focused on college readiness. The one I want to mention tonight is called College Tracks. It's the largest investment that the foundation makes every year. And it's a program that was developed years ago by parents at BCC who wanted to be sure that first generation college-going students, of whom we have many at BCC, have the opportunities for supports around applications, financial aid, course taking, college selection that our more well-to-do families have access to, oftentimes by paying for extra help. That program serves hundreds of students each year at BCC, has a very high success rate, and it's the largest investment that the BCC Educational Foundation makes each year. It's also been so successful at BCC that 4 other high schools have adopted a similar program across the county. And the last thing I want to mention, really importantly, about that we fund is professional development for teachers. Every year we put a fund together for the principal to draw upon to pay for training and extra tools and professional development for teachers that they don't get through the county. And I know that the administration at BCC over the years has come to rely on that fund so that teachers can improve their craft. And this year, I think it's going to be really important that they can make use of those resources, either to enhance their virtual instruction capabilities, but also to focus on race and equity issues that have been coming to the fore nationally, and that we've been proud to see the student body raising on their own starting this summer. We think there are great opportunities to help teachers and staff at BCC learn from experts around the country on how they can help support support diverse students at BCC, honor diversity, and deal with some very vexing and real issues that we all have to wrestle with in our community. This year is going to be a different year. As Lyric said, as Dr. Mooney said, we have extra resources available this year that we have saved over the years that we have told Dr. Mooney can be available for innovative programs or solutions or things that are needed this year that may be different from past years. And we will be right there working with Dr. Mooney and the PTSA to see what needs arise. Again, we're very focused on the opportunity gap and equity issues. So we do not want to see opportunity gaps widen. I will say just a kind of a national figure that's very alarming is that first generation college students, and especially students of color, have been changing their college going plans because of COVID at an alarmingly high rate compared to white students nationally. And many of them have been opting out or changing their college plans. We want to be really sure that working in the BCC community, we support our students of color and our first generation college going students in particular to make sure that they continue on the path to post-secondary education. And diversity is our strength. I'll say it again, as a student, I got to experience it. It was very powerful. I think it shaped the rest of my life. And I think all of your students and all of our students are in an environment where they're with a diverse group, which is very powerful if we can take advantage of it and honor it. And I think that's what we at the foundation want to help contribute to. We'd love to keep you involved and keep you informed. On the screen, you'll see an email address that I would encourage you to send your name and your student's name and grade to. Just a note with your name, student name, and grade will put you on our list. We send out things periodically to update the parent community on program opportunities and ways you can support this work. And we'd love to be able to put you on our list. Coming up in the next few weeks are going to be a couple webinars that you might want to tune into. And if you're on our mailing list, we'll let you know. One is an introduction to the TAP academic support that will be done virtually that I mentioned earlier. We'll be working with the school to put a webinar together to make sure all parents are informed about that opportunity and how it will work. And then second, we're working with the College Advisory Committee of the PTSA to put on one or more sessions for those parents and families that are beginning to think of college, resources that are being made available through our organizations to help support that. And then last but not least is the bottom of this slide, you'll see our website address. I encourage you to go check it out. You'll see more about what we do, but also if you're so moved, we can only do all that we do by raising money from the community. So this year we'll be taking a virtual approach to fundraising, which we're still developing, but we need support from parents in order to continue to fund the programs that support our students and our teachers. So please check it out. And if you're capable of giving, we would really welcome that. I look forward to a great year in partnership with you and the school, and I'll turn it back over to Dr. Mooney. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gandel. At this point, I'm going to actually turn it over to Ms. Dean, who is going to talk just a little bit about the different ways that the SGA gets involved. And when she is done with this part, Dr. McGarrett was going to take over to share some information about this fall semester.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Dean, and I am the school-wide SGA sponsor, but I've had the pleasure of working with class of 2023 last year, and I'm still working as their sponsor this year until we find a replacement. And the SGA is meant to be leaders who are working for class of 23. We think about fundraisers, and we just think about ways to enhance the community at BCC for our class. This group has been such a phenomenal group to work with. They are amazing leaders. And I encourage you to follow these accounts on Instagram and Twitter. I actually use their Instagram posts to remind me of the schedule every day because I think their graphics and the way they lay things out are very, very clear. So take some time to follow them. And then also we try to keep everybody in the loop and to communicate more often than not. And we've asked all students to join this Google Classroom. Many of them are already a part of it, but if they are not, the code is here as well. And we always encourage students to reach out to any member of the SGA. They can feel free to reach out to me. And then once we have an official sponsor, they will also be an available resource for all of our 10th grade students. So we hope to plan some virtual fun things in the next couple of months. I know some students are already thinking about fundraisers and thinking about how to make a virtual homecoming work. So hopefully we will be able to have some memorable events for your students in the next coming months. Thank you.
Dr. McGarwa? Unfortunately, you do not have any sound coming through.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Can everybody hear me?
You're good now. Can you back up 2 slides?
All right, I will do so.
Good there.
Right here. My apologies. Thank you, Dr. Mooney, for letting me know that they could not hear me. I'm glad that you guys can hear me now. And so, as I was mentioning before, which none of you probably heard because my microphone was not working. My name is David Mugero. I'm one of the assistant principals here at BCC, and I have the proud privilege to be able to serve your students as the administrator for 2023. And it is my goal to stick with them until they graduate in 2023. And I know that many of you have contacted me by email, but our information was shared in previous slides. And also, if you did join late, it is going to be, it's actually already on the school website. So you're able to reach myself or Dr. Mooney in regards to contacting us for any questions you may have. I will continue where I left off. So my apologies for the error with the microphone, but it seems to be that we're all up and running. We're going to take a look at this schedule here for BCC. This is our weekly schedule that we'll have. This is an MCPS standard schedule for those of us who are working in high schools. We do have an 8-period day with period 8 being Barren time, and we'll take a look at what Barren time actually is in just a moment. The schedule will also include time for TAP, which is time for academic progress. We'll also have High School Plus. We'll also have advisory and teacher planning that's going to be embedded in the system. So yesterday was Wednesday, and so we had our first virtual check-in day. And as you can see, that will take place on day 3, where we have students are able to check in with their teachers for the 20 minutes. Every student is going to have access to their Zoom links, which they've been able to do so far. And we're looking forward to moving along and having a smooth week number 2. And so we're asking for your patience. And thank you all for being so patient as we work out several kinks in technology. So the question some of you may be wondering is, what exactly is Barren time? Okay, flexible time that's built into the schedule and would be used for a variety of purposes, including the following. So Barren time that we've had in the traditional school year is going to be a little bit different than what we've had previously. We're going to be discussing aspects of academic support, or providing academic support, excuse me, link crew activities. We're going to hear from Mr. Tony Lewis a little bit about the Ivy Middle Years program, the MYP program. We'll also have club meetings, social emotional learning lessons, community building, and also other identified needs as necessary. We are looking to ensure that our students are definitely going to be challenged in all areas that they're working. And we want to make sure that we are able to meet their needs and all aspects of their life. So the question is, what is the structure of a standard Zoom lesson? So as you know, according to the schedule, we have approximately 60 minutes in each specific class, which runs about 4 periods per day on day 1 and day 2, with day 3 being the check-in, and then we recycle day 4 and then day 5. So as you can see here, you have about a 5-minute welcome / warm-up. The teachers will be able to frame the lesson for about 5 minutes. And then there's going to be direct instruction. We will have content being delivered live. This is live teaching. This is a little bit different from how we modified our workings with in the spring. And then we also have students that will have breakout time for 20 minutes with Zoom. Some of you may notice already, but I'll just go ahead and say this for those of you who may not be familiar with Zoom. You're able to actually assign breakout rooms, which is a pretty cool feature where students are able to work in small groups and the teacher can kind of facilitate and bounce from room to room. So we've done that before as a staff and as an admin team, where we've been working in breakout rooms, where we're working in small groups of about maybe 5 to 8 people. And then as a host, the teacher is able to then let the students know how much time they have left in their breakout room, and they're able to then bring it back towards the whole group instruction. So student engagement is very important. I use the words critical and important for a reason. We want to make sure that each and every student is able to attend class every single day, daily attendance will be taken in all classes throughout the first semester. So we don't want your students to think that because they are doing this virtually that we will not know that they're not there. Teachers are taking attendance for 8 periods. And so we want to make sure that each student knows that it is critical that they attend each and every class. And one thing we want to make sure that students realize is that we are actually starting later in the day. Many of you know, if you were a part of our school last year, first period started at 7:45. And now students get to quote unquote sleep in, so much so to speak. And we have our first live instruction taking place at 9 a.m. So they get an extra quote unquote hour and 15 minutes, although we did build time near the end of the day. So we're not finishing exactly at 2:30 like we would in the school year. We want to make sure that students are also, as I mentioned, attending all the Zoom lessons, Zoom sessions. They're participating actively and ensuring that the teachers are also on their side of the fence there, that they are setting high expectations that we want to communicate to the students and also to the families. And they're also being able to be flexible when challenges do appear in certain students' personal lives, that they're flexible in regards to getting back to them and what the students missed. I do want to touch up quickly about the special education services and 504 plans. We have something called the IDLP, which is the Individual Distance Learning Plan. The IDLP will align with each student's IEP and describe the delivery of special education services in the distance format. So we have several families who have students who do have IEPs and 504s. Those meetings are actually taking place, even though we are in a virtual setting, they are actually still taking place. We typically meet on Google via Google Meets, and our special education resource teacher is very, very great at scheduling these meetings or working along with a school psychologist. And you are able to actually reach out to your child's counselor with any questions in regards to the 504 plans, or some of you may have IEP meetings coming up. So here's some information in regards to technology that we think will be helpful for you as a families here at BCC. We definitely spend a large amount of hours, a lot of manpower was involved in distributing materials, specifically with the technology. Every student is allowed to have an MCPS issued Chromebook or a MiFi device. And we want to make sure that if students do not have a MCPS Chromebook, they are able to pick one up. We did have distribution last week. They should reach out to their grade level administrator if they have any questions or if they need to pick up another MCPS Chromebook. When I say another, what I mean by is if they have an issue with the one that they have, they need to swap it out. However, if you are in need of an MCPS Chromebook, and this is the 10th grade webinar, so all of you should be able to contact me, and I will be able to assist you all with your technology requests. Please keep in mind that this is essentially an obligation, so we want to make sure that it is returned in good and working order. So please let your students know that even though it is not theirs personally, they need to, of course, keep it in good working condition, because this is essentially a loan that the school is giving them this computer to use. Materials information is as follows. We did spend some time last week having distribution over several days. And some of you might have missed the 9th grade meeting that we had earlier, but I left this in there for a reason, because some of you may be confused about what's going on with 9th grade and 10th grade, or some of you may have 11th graders and 12th graders. So 9th graders did not receive any textbooks at all. They will be using e-text, and we did have distribution for grade 10 that took place last week. We are working out the details in regards to our second round of distribution, but for the most part, we are asking that you allow us to work on those details, and every teacher in BCC is well aware that not every student has a physical hard copy of a textbook, so which is why we have e-text that are available through the publishers that we utilize. Now, what I like to touch upon real quickly is the extracurricular activities and athletics. We are actually going to have 3 virtual seasons. As you know, MCPS as of right now is closed until up until the end of the first semester, and because of that, we were not able to essentially have a traditional athletic season. So what that means is that we're going to transition to a fall season, winter season, and a spring season, according to the dates that you see as follows. And one thing that's important for families to know is that any and everyone is able to be a part of the the fall, winter, and spring season, meaning that there are not going to be any cuts. Typically in a high school season, you're going to have individuals, try out for a team, and then a coach, of course, can't keep 40 people for a basketball team, so they have to cut it down to 12 or to 15 people. Keep this in mind that physicals are required, but students will not be cut. We want to make sure that we bring attention to the race core values, and these of course include respect and sportsmanship, academic excellence, integrity and character, spirited and safe competition, equity and access. And if you have any questions in regards to the virtual season, if you're trying to get information from some of the coaches, you can contact Coach Mike Crozel. He is our new athletic specialist, and I'm using that term for a reason. The county actually switched their title per se, and now they are known as athletic specialists. These athletic specialists are formerly known as athletic directors. So if you see that term flying around here on the internet somewhere, just know that it's the same thing. It's just a different title. So there are several opportunities for students to be involved. And what we're going to be doing, this is not set in stone yet, but we are going to be looking forward to having a real season in the spring. It's going to be condensed, where we will have fall, winter, and spring sports playing one after another. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to turn the microphone over to Mr. Lewis. Mr. Lewis is our MYP coordinator here at BCC. Mr. Lewis, are you ready?
Yes.
All right.
Next slide, please. Slide after that as well. The German writer and statesman Goethe declared, "He who knows no foreign languages knows nothing of his own." So in the spirit of the IB mission statement, I bid you all good evening in all of the languages present on the slide. Next slide, David. Now, if I were to put the MYP in a nutshell, I would say it's a curriculum that encourages teachers as well as students to use the world as the broadest context for learning. Such an ambitious outlook requires practical steps, and the personal project is an excellent tool for this. And so that is going to be what I will be discussing tonight. Oh, I apologize, I forgot to formally introduce myself. My name is Beltoni Louis, the new MYP coordinator at BCC. You can reach me at my Google Voice, which is 407-900-1087, and you can go ahead and greet me as Tony. Next slide, please. The novelist Zora Neale Hurston observed, "There are years that ask questions and years that answer them." 2020 has definitely been a year of questions. And some of those questions may never be answered, but tonight I hope to answer some questions as it relates to the personal project that you may have. Now, the presentation tonight is framed around 4 basic questions. What is the personal project? How is it executed? When are certain components due? Who are the stakeholders in this wondrous process? Now, when it comes to what the personal project is, it is a culminating project of the middle years program that is designed to develop students into lifelong learners and provide them with the opportunity to demonstrate the ATL skills that have been part of the MYP since their 6th grade year. The project is based on the students' interests and talents, resulting in a particular product or outcome. The project ideally should begin at the end of their freshman year and end in the winter of their sophomore year. It is required for all 10th grade students, and it goes on their transcript as half an elective credit. Now, when it comes to the process, the personal project moves through 4 distinct stages. The first, investigating. That has to do with what they want to learn and how they're going to go about learning it and why they want to learn it. The next is planning. That involves organizing their time and materials to meet their goals that they've set forth. Next slide, please. The third stage has to do with taking action. which involves chronicling the development of their project, whether it be the triumphs or obstacles they've encountered, adapting to any challenges posed by the project, communicating with their project supervisors, and creating a particular product or developing an outcome. And the final phase of the personal project has to do with reflection. That's where the student will evaluate the product or the outcome, and as well as the impact that the experience has had on them as a learner. Now, there are three essential tangible elements that make up the personal project that will be assessed by myself and the supervising teachers. The first being the process journal, which can be digital, visual, or oral. The process journal is meant to document the student's process and progress. It is maintained throughout the project and is a reflection of their learning. Next, please. The product or outcome is the final result of the goals set forth at the outset of the project. It can take many forms, but it must be accompanied by a display board. The product or outcome is due at the start of February and will be displayed during the MYP showcase in March. And the third tangible element is the report, which is due in the middle of February. A report can be written, digital, oral, or visual. If it is written or digital, it should be about 1,500 to 3,500 words. Oral and visual reports should be 13 to 15 minutes in length. The report demonstrates the students' learning throughout their project. Reflection and self-evaluation should be evident in the report. Now, who? The roles of various stakeholders in this process. Myself as the MYP coordinator, my role is to manage and implement the organization of all of the personal projects. The teachers, their supervisors, who are there to provide support for the students through a series of meetings where student progress will be assessed. The students, well, they're investigators. They're going to complete a sustained investigation of their topic. And you, the parents, well, your job is just to monitor your child's progress as it relates to the meeting of important deadlines. Now, when it comes to the schedule, I am working on a tentative schedule that I'm going to submit to admin at the end of this week. But on the slide are the monthly milestones for the project. So sometime in mid-September, I will meet with the 10th graders during the 8th period MYP seminar block and introduce them to the personal project and the writing of a project proposal. Early in October, the project proposals are due and the first supervisor meetings will take place. In November and December, the second and third supervisor meetings will take place. The discussions will be centered around their structured reflections and any progress that has taken place or lack thereof. Early and mid-January, the 4th and 5th supervisor meetings will take place. The project itself will be due at the start of February, whether that be the first week or the second week. And the following week, the reports will be due as well. And we'll have our celebration or project exhibition sometime in March. So, merci. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at the email on the slide, as well as my Google Voice number. Hopefully, I can go ahead and meet you guys face to face when the pandemic permits. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Tony Lewis. We appreciate you. What I'm going to do before we dismiss, I will go back to the slide that we didn't spend too much time on, which has my contact information. And I just want to make sure that each and every family member knows that we will have back to school night, a virtual back to school night, which will be Thursday, September 10th, 2020, beginning at 6 p.m., which will be, of course, next week. We are actually, of course, as I mentioned, this is going to be a virtual back to school night. So we have some creative things that we're going to reveal to you all, and how teachers are going to be able to present to you as family members, as parents and guardians, as to what they are doing. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go back to one portion of I'm going to pause my screen share and go back to one portion that will have my contact information. And one thing that's unique is that I was actually, I had my microphone on mute because my son, who is 4 months old, was screaming and I forgot to unmute myself. So my apologies. So to make this a little bit more lighthearted, and so that way parents are not mad at me, I have to include this one picture, which I did from my phone, and I refreshed my screen so that way it's live. So that's Dr. Moody's information there. But I want to share with you all, my beloved 2023 parents, please don't be mad at me, because I want to show you my son, and he is 4 months old. His name is Lennox, and he is the joy of my wife and myself, our life. And so now that you see my 4-month-old son, you can no longer be mad at me that I had my microphone on mute, because I didn't know. He was screaming upstairs, and so that's why. So here's my email address, and my cute son is an _ David _ N _ Muguero at mcpsmd.org. So please contact me, contact Mr. Lewis, or contact Dr. Mooney if you have any questions about anything that we discussed today. So we thank you so much for your time and attention, and we hope that you all have a restful evening. And please make sure you get some rest, as we have a holiday on Monday. So thank you all for attending, and please remember that back to school night will take place on September 10th at 6 p.m. Thank you so much for your attending. Have a great evening.